Hello, I'm Martin Warwick. We're at the Small Cells World Summit 2014 in London's Docklands at the Excel Centre, and I'm talking with Ronny Haraldsvik, who is a CMO with SpiderCloud Wireless. Ronny, good to see you. What factors are driving demand for small cell technology in mobile networks right now?
Well, I could really just speak on behalf of our company, because we've seen a tremendous upturn for what we do in this space, which is selling to mobile operators with a scalable small cell system that they can actually get deployed into a large enterprise. And when we talk about large enterprise, it's anywhere between 500 people and up to several thousand people, and a system that really can scale to those demands. So we've seen a tremendous amount of interest in those small cell systems that can do 3G and 4G. And more specifically, what's gotten a lot of interest from the operators as of late is a system and capability and a product that actually we announced about 9 months ago that I'm happy to say as of last week we're shipping commercially and taking orders for it, and it's working, which is a dual band 3G and 4G radio node. So in essence, you can connect 3G users and on the other band connect 4G users. So that type of interest and that type of need to have flexibility in the network is actually what's driving the demand for our product and our system from the operators that we're working with in Europe, US, and also Latin America, which is where we're seeing most of the growth and the requests coming from.
What do you think are the key challenges, the problems that are being faced by telcos as they begin to deploy and implement small cell solutions?
Yeah, I mean the one key thing that we have come across over the last few years is the change in operational procedures that actually have to take place inside the mobile operator. When it comes to the large-scale deployments inside of an enterprise, for instance, the only other alternative has been a distributed antenna system, which takes months of planning, RF experts. It really becomes an elongated project management of a system that also costs a lot. What has to change then internally to the mobile operator is the procedures. So going from a 100-page manual to sort of a 10-page manual and changing the process, that actually in some cases took a long time for the operator to change. But now we're getting into sort of a more of a glide path, and where they're at least the first few operators that we've been working with understand that this is needs to be simplified because it is a simpler product to install, and that also makes the customers happy. And then the other challenge is just making sure that the enterprise sales force are actually educated. They know they have a competitive advantage. They know how to price it, sell it, promote it, drive it.
Now, do you think small cell technology is actually capable of delivering telco requirements now, as of this moment, or does the technology need more development?
I believe, and I think I speak on behalf of many vendors, that the small cell systems have evolved dramatically from the early days of residential and some of the things that took place there, and a lot of learnings that was had from that, to what it takes now to deploy small cells into, say, the enterprise. Two different scenarios, and at least from our system's perspective, we're ready, we're being deployed. It's been tested and verified for many years, and been commercial actually for a couple of years. Small cell systems outdoor in the metropolitan area still have some challenges when it comes to backhaul and a vendor ecosystem working together. But for the most part, I find that the operators are much more happy with where we are today than ever before.
So what are the services that are applied on top of the platform?
So I'm glad you asked that question, because it's one thing that actually separates us from maybe the competition. And we are the only one really doing a scalable small cell over an Ethernet infrastructure. What makes us unique and different is that our services node, which is really the controller that controls all the radio nodes, and we can now have up to about 100 of these deployed, is that we have an x86 platform that we've had in our platform for some time. And really it's because of the work that Intel's been doing with us and letting us have that and actually innovating with us, that we now have the ability, and actually have had the ability, but it's getting a lot more interest now, that after you deploy for coverage and capacity, then what else can you do? Well, without changing anything in the system, you can go back in and turn on services, meaning services that we can actually host as part of virtual machines on top of that x86 platform. So that includes location-based services, IP-PBX integration, among other things. And the ability to have this x86 also allows you to then, along with our service node, keep traffic local if it doesn't have to go back into the core, which also of course reduces the tremendous amount of the bandwidth required and backhaul that normally would be used to transport that data back and forth. So location-based services, to reiterate that, and also PBX integration among other things. We're seeing a tremendous amount of interest in that moving forward, and we're happy to say that we're demonstrating several of those capabilities, and believe that in the coming months and into next year, you're going to see a lot more commercial deployments of those services as a service offered by an operator on a price per employee per month, vis-a-vis asking an enterprise to go and buy their own equipment, manage BYOD, and being their own operator. Enable, in essence, this platform to take care of some of those quote-unquote outsourced services.
And how does small cells for 4G and beyond fit in with the move towards NFV, Network Functions Virtualization?
Well, network function virtualization is, in essence, taking what's normally put on a hardware and moving it elsewhere, or facilitating a function that normally would be one place in the network in another place in the network. And we could have called our services node a network function virtualization node, except for we called it a services node 4 years ago, and we stuck with that, because it enables services. But we are, in essence, a facilitation point for NFV back in the core, back in the cloud, and back in the data centers. So we see, the network function virtualization and the use of more commercialized and more black box type of applications and servers being used in order to reduce the cost for the enterprise, and move more of that functionality back into the core of the network or the cloud. But you can't do that unless you have an appliance to land on for mobility inside of the enterprise. And that's why we see that services node platform becoming just increasingly more important as NFV and software-defined networking becomes more important for the enterprise and the mobile operator.
What role do you see for small cells beyond 4G and into future 5G networks?
Well, you said 5G, so I'm almost forced to say there is no 5G. But if there was going to be a definition around 5G that we could really support, is that it's going to be more focused on the service functionalities and the functions that a network gives you, rather than the what's previously been done, which is focus on the access portion of the network. We are going to see more heterogeneous network type of deployments or coordination between various access networks to make it work. If 5G, and I'll put quotation marks around that, will be, I think, a lot more focused on just enabling quality of service across networks, where the blurring of the line between what is a service provider network and what is an enterprise networks, becomes blurred, and that we become more focused on just what is enabled through those networks. And again, the physical asset of where normally a network would be will move because of network function virtualization and software-defined networking. And we're going to have more capacity on demand, services on demand, applications on demand, frankly, network operations on demand.
Ronny Haraldsvik, very many thanks.
Oh, thank you. Always a pleasure.